last Sunday, if you were here with us, we were discussing the idea of a BHAG. And if you weren't here, a BHAG is a big, hairy, audacious goal. All right? And I invited each one of you to set a BHAG for yourself, and I shared my most recent BHAG goal with you. And that was the conclusion of our month of lessons about moving from having a good life to having a great life to having a grand life. And today, as we cross over into June, and the International CSL theme is Holy Boldness, what I know is that I'm going to need some holy boldness to achieve my BHAG, right? And I bet you are as well. So the idea of the month of June, holy boldness, is that life with a capital L, invites us to live with gusto and wholeness. But we have to choose, we have a choice as to how fully we engage with everything. The only thing that holds us back is ourselves and possible perceptions of obstacles, right? Our attitude, our outlook, our willingness, our perseverance, our persistence, resilience, all of those qualities are critical if we're going to live boldly. And these aspects of our character help us on the human level, right, to live in a certain way. But we're also reminded that deep within us, there's a sacred knowing, always with us, supporting us and guiding us. And as we work with Spirit as our inner partner, possibilities for grandness will show themselves every day, even in the moments that challenge us. Let's talk about that this morning. So one of the basic lessons of our philosophy, the science of mind, is that there is a power in the universe, that one power that Derek so beautifully sang about, and that power in the universe, we can use it. And I like to turn that sentence around and say there's a power for good in the universe, and it can use me. So what is that power? What is your understanding of that power? More importantly, what is your relationship with that power? If you're like most people, you were taught a lot of funny things about that power, right? Most of us were taught that this power is called God, and basically it's some kind of man in the sky figure that judges everything we do, much like Santa Claus. And this guy in the sky has lots of rules that determine whether we are worthy of favor and good stuff or we're not. Mostly not, right? And if you live in a good way, following all the rules, or at least asking the man in the sky for forgiveness if you break the rules, then you're going to get to heaven, right? And if you don't, well, hell, pretty harsh stuff, right? Built on fear. A philosophy built on fear, basically. And Christianity isn't the only interpretation of the power. So you may have heard some other stuff too, right? But here in spirituality, we declare that the power of life is a power of love, not fear. And this is what the science of mind said. Ernest Holmes says, the science of mind proclaims the spiritual nature of humankind. It removes fear by introducing love. And that power is the source of all life. This creative power sustains all life. It's always balanced, always life-affirming. And scientists call it energy. You can call the power whatever you want to call it. Back to the song, there was a whole list of things you could call it. But it is that energy that pushes out of a tiny little seed to become a plant. And then it pushes out further in creativity to form a flower. And then it further creates with the flower to form a piece of fruit. And it is the life flowing through the person that picks the fruit, washes the fruit, ships the fruit, buys the fruit, and then it is the energy running through the mind of the person who has the fruit to decide what to do next. Do they sit it on a nice table and paint it in a still life? That's something they could do with fruit. Or do they just choose to eat it raw? Or do they take that fruit and create something else out of it? That same power ran through the whole thing. Life, always affirming more life. It is nature. You get the idea. That energy is present in every element of every moment. And we are all in relationship with this life force because it is our very breath, the intelligence inside of us, inside of each one of our cells that knows exactly what to do to create together a body that will hold us and express as us. And this power is your highest version of yourself. It's the part of you that does not diminish with age or illness or experience. And if you turn within in the silence, this power awaits you always. It's the part of you that urges you to be loving and kind. We talked about that in Sacred Cup. There's a power in us that urges us to relate to each other. It's the part of you that urges you to do the right thing, to apologize, to forgive, to be grateful, to support one another. And it really is something very hard to describe, but we all know it when we feel it. This energy can be described by the very words we use to describe spirit, love, life, connection, order, intelligence, pure energy, wholeness, balance, appreciation. Those are all those words. And that is a description of our core nature, which flows through us if we let it. But there are lots of things that can cause that flow of energy in us to diminish. Think about things going on inside you that nudge you to not do the right thing. Fear or self-doubt or unworthiness. You see, surrounding that core energy field within all of us is our human condition. Surrounding that pure energy of spirit is our thoughts about life, our beliefs about how things work for us, our ideas about what is possible in our choices, our explanations of the circumstances that we find ourselves in, basically our fears. So surrounding that core of light and love is the human condition. And what I know about all of us is that we have been hurt. We have all been disappointed. We have all been betrayed. We have all had big challenges. Life circumstances always show us that our human selves are vulnerable. And our feelings can be hurt, and our self-esteem or our self-knowing is fragile. And when we're hurt, we become afraid to put ourselves out there, to risk getting hurt again. We stop trying new things because they may not be perfect and we actually might suck at something new, right? And many of us stop growing and learning because all of that requires us to look at painful things and change our stories about our lives and the people in them. And some of us wonder if we could survive the emotional flood that might come with such a personal injury. And in our fear, we build a wall around ourselves, a wall of protection. And the walls are great. These walls are great. And some of us have our walls so beautifully decorated. We have done a lot of work in making our walls pretty. We become masters at living behind our masks and our walls, only showing the world bits of ourselves that we've decided are somewhat presentable, right? But guess what's on the other side of that wall? On the other side of that wall is the life that you so deeply desire. Each of you would describe your desired life differently, but let me see if I can get it somewhat close, right? I would imagine that most people would desire a life where they have a few places where they feel like they belong, and they are wholeheartedly included. Most people would describe a desirable life as that they have meaningful connections with people who share their values and support their goals. There is an ease in communication and confidence in making choices. They have activities where they spend their time and resources, and those are fulfilling, and they contain laughter. In this desired life, they are affirmed, and they affirm others with generosity. Am I getting anywhere close to the life you desire, right? Because the life I just described is one that is infused with energy that I described earlier. Love, vitality, connection, order, balance, spirit. My lesson today is Audacious Conduit of Love. That is what I invite all of you to become. An audacious, I love that word, an audacious conduit of love, a channel through which this energy called life, called spirit, flows easily and fully, with no resistance or obstacles or holding back in fear. That's what I want us all to become. My ministerial mentor, Reverend Dr. Michelle Medrano, many of you met her when she was in town a few years ago for our wedding, and Michelle wrote this about this resolving of our fears. She wrote, like the red blood cells that flow through our bodies, what is in our consciousness or awareness flows through every part of our being and impacts our energy and decisions. The primary place where opportunities exist for us to begin to make new courageous choices is in a deeper sense of our spiritual connection to everything and everyone. When we live life feeling connected, we experience a powerful sense of confidence and serenity that begins to allow us to transcend our fear, and fearless living becomes our norm. Michelle Medrano. Wouldn't it be so very healing if we lived knowing we were connected to everything and everyone? The only reason why we're in this human existence is to be in relationships. That's what we're here for. You are here to relate to the universe around you, nature, and the entire world of form. Your inherent relationship to everything is love, period. Most of us have no trouble loving nature, do we? It's so easy to look at beautiful sky and feel just deep appreciation. It's easy to relate to animals and appreciate them. Even if you got to be from afar, you can still appreciate them. Most of us feel kinship and spiritually connected to animals. And we can be an audacious conduit of love with nature and animals. Sure. But there are folks who actually defile nature or mistreat animals. But on a deep cosmic level, we know that's just not right, right? And we can pretty easily see that those people have some healing work to do if they're out there defiling nature and hurting animals. Can we agree? There's some healing work to do there. But once we move beyond nature and animals, and we start talking about human beings, the predictability of one's ability to love becomes a little bit difficult. Because when it comes to other human beings, our inherent relationship of love gets very challenged for most of us, right? Our channel through which spirit flows has gotten clogged up with rust and sediment and blockages and remnants of experiences that make us hesitant to love fully and audaciously. Am I right? Right? You know, let's go back to animals for just a second. If a person gets bitten by a dog, we can understand their hesitation to love and audaciously embrace dogs they encounter after that, right? We would get it. However, if that hesitation over time blows up into a full-blown animal phobia, we would all probably encourage that person to get some professional help because they're missing out on some really great experiences with animals, right? They might not want to go hang out with big dogs right away, but the person helping them could suggest rebuilding that trust with a trained emotional support animal, perhaps, or maybe loving on some puppies like I do, or maybe starting with another kind of animal altogether. But I don't think we would encourage that person to just live and sit in that huge limitation of fear, cutting them off from so many day-to-day activities. Do you know where I'm going with this? Right? So often we get bitten in some way in our life. And those bites, they come from bullies in school, from less than evolved family members. I have a few of those. From fiercely competitive coworkers, from careless lovers, from so-called best friends, from angry bosses, from cheating spouses, from our adult children, from unhealthy organizations, from leaders or teachers or mentors fraught with their own human limitations. Raise your hand if you have been bitten by another human being somewhere along the way. That's what I thought. All of us have. Yet within each one of us still runs the energy of life and love. And if you're sitting in this room or hearing this lesson, my bet would be that you have done some of the healing work necessary to let your love flow. But if you're still alive, and I think you all are all still alive yet, you're still working to remove bits of clogged up fears and self-doubts and unworthiness still left in your channel. Am I also right about that? Right? So that's what this summer of love is all about. It's about releasing any unnecessary clogs or blockages in your inner channel of love so that you can be living as an audacious conduit of love. The point is to do what Michelle Madrano wrote about, resolving our fear by knowing we are all connected. How do you do that, you might ask? We're going to help you tap into your inner courage as you're surrounded by others who are interested in becoming bigger conduits of love themselves. Courage to be the best, most engaged student of life that you can be. Courage to look at the lessons you may have never learned, or lessons that you learned the wrong way. Courage to rewrite some of your final papers that you wrote in the school of life. About some experiences that you've had. You wrote a story about them. Maybe it's time to rewrite that final paper. Resubmit it for a different grade, right? Courage to let go of things and these ideas that block you from loving yourself or loving the world or loving other people, from loving those closest around you. And this courage can lead you to try some new things this summer. It can let you re-examine some decisions you've made about your life and the activities that have given you joy in the past, but maybe you've gotten all blocked up about those too. And this courage can grow stronger in the presence of shared ideas and support. And this courage may have you moving beyond fears that block you toward making better choices based on faith and love. And we're also going to strengthen your connection to your inner spirit. And throughout the summer, you're going to have opportunities to go within and listen to your soul's wisdom as you build trust between your human calculating skills and your soul's intuitive knowing. We're going to move from our heads to our heart this summer. And we're going to surround you with support from ministers and practitioners and this loving, accepting community. Love is who you really are. And the more we let that inner flow of love flow out into our day-to-day lives, the better our life becomes. And as I said at the beginning of the talk, there's a power of good in the universe and we can use it. And that power of good can use us too. And the only thing that power of good wants from me is to be a channel through which it can flow audaciously. You know, in some conversation last week, it was either in Sacred Cover Q&A after service, I explained that my entire ministry is to help others love themselves more. I say that because what I know is that when we love ourselves more, we make the world a better place by being channels of love flowing out to everyone and everything else. We love ourselves more, and our energy field of attraction begins to draw into us better and better situations and experiences. And we love ourselves more when we forgive our missteps and the things that we call mistakes. We love ourselves more when we realize that everything that has happened in our lives is normal and part of our healing journey. We love ourselves more when we no longer experience shame related to anything that has happened in our lives. We love ourselves more when we understand that we are conduits for Spirit. That's why we're here. We are the place where God shows up. So to summarize, our participation is needed in life. We have choice and free will as to how we engage. We can either subdue our light, live behind our protective, beautiful walls, and limit the love that we channel into the world, or we can live boldly in an audacious, loving, vibrant manner. We have permission from Spirit to live creatively through our own unique nature that was assigned just to us. We have to step out, draw outside the lines, move beyond our fears with our imagination and our courage. When love flows through our channel to everyone and everything we encounter, we are holy and bold. Would you pray with me? Here is what I know. What I know is that each and every person is a channel through which God flows. A channel through which that breath of life goes in and out. And therefore we are all creative beings, loving beings, connected to Source always. And I know for each one listening today, there is something that can be released. There is something that can be let go. There's something that can be forgiven. There's something that can be released into the love. And there's nothing that blocks that from happening. And so I know a blessing for each person here today, for each person listening to this prayer. And so it is.